some other news out of the Trump administration this week concerning the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. And I'd like to begin this begin our discussion of the Secretary of Defense with this clip from the Sunday's.
Before we play the clip, can we talk about the post he had before that clip was recorded? The post he had when he was just enjoying the day. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Is this the post where he says, "What a big surprise that a bunch of leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out"?
Yeah, I'd like to read this post because this is like I said, it's the platonic ideal of like an alcoholic posting on Facebook. So it's like a picture. It's a picture of him like looking insane at the White House Easter egg hunt that they have every year. That's always weird. There's that bizarre picture of a bungler with that very weirdly anthropomorphic rabbit. It's never like a good day. It's like really fucked up. This one's really overcast. All these kids look horrified. They know, like the kids in the background are looking. They look like the kids from what the fuck is that movie called? Wait and See.
Come and see.
You know the one I'm talking about.
Wait and See.
Yeah, they look like the kids from Wait and See, the Russian Sandlot, and
Belarusian, please, Felix.
And because you know, like kids have good instincts, and they're like, I don't know if this is my dad, but he's going to yell at my mom.
Oh, kids can sense evil, man. They know for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing he posts is, the White House Easter egg was fire. And then underneath that is the quote that he gave Politico, which is, what a big surprise that a bunch of leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out. And it's already setting the scene because it's like, you know, all the people that are in my life that I chose to bring into my life, either just purely through affirmative choices or my behavior, they're all fucking pieces of shit who want me to fail. But I've gotten rid of them. There's no more drama. It's done. My life is fine, and I'm having a great social event.
I like in the post about the Easter egg roll, he was like, I want to thank the Easter Bunny and several dozen pink elephants for showing up on this beautiful day.
DT. Look, no bullshit. Bullshit aside, me and the Easter Bunny have had a lot of battles over the years, but I'm glad we could come together for the kids.
I just gotta say, man, that Easter Bunny, that costume looks creepier than Donnie Darko rabbit costume. Yeah. For some reason, it just unsettles me, man.
That is when the world will end.
Why? I'll be honest with you, Felix. When you were teeing that up, I thought it was going in the direction of when Conor McGregor was trend gay. You see a guy on trend and how they post, very, very, very similar.
Yeah. Well, they hosted Conor a few for St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Right, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
Don't you think that's so weird? Because it's like both Conor and Pete are fall down drunk, like psychotic, rapist, abusive maniacs, like two of the worst guys. But Pete, what's so interesting about him is he's this awful fall down drunk, but he really the one thing I can say about him is his body metabolizes alcohol well. like Conor, when you saw Conor at that at the St. Patrick's Day thing, he looks like Harvey Weinstein now. It's fucking crazy.
He's got that perfect gut on him, and those buttons on those too small for him already suits are begging for mercy.
Yeah, looking like a bloated beach whale type shit.
Tom. The buttons on his suit vest, he's got them in a submit hold. He's got them tapping out.
He looks melted like poured in them goddamn suits.
I did love Conor McGregor's St. Patrick's Day visit because he's flirting with the idea of like running for office in Ireland, and he's like, my platform is, if you commit a crime in Ireland, you're gone. And it's like, dude, aren't you on cocaine every night doing rapes? I mean, like, Felix, when we were in Dublin, like, the people in Dublin said it's like the biggest open secret in, like, the smallest big city in the world that Conor McGregor is a drug-fueled psychopath who does crimes every night of his life.
Yeah, like, literally every person I talked to who, like, had, if they knew about MMA at all or not, it was almost like if you were an RPG, you would think, are they queuing me up for a mission where I kill Conor McGregor? Because every NPC is coming up to me and saying this guy is a rapist and a maniac and fucking evil.
This nigga is like an alcohol fueled like Gotham City villain, man.
Yeah. It's like, even before, this was years before the trial and before even like the rumors were well known in America. But there was already that video of him in his stupid restaurant where he remember when he offered that like 70-year-old guy a shot of whiskey, and the guy was like, "No, I'm fine. I don't want to drink whatever fucking bronze water you're hawking." And he just tees up and fucking knocks out the 70-year-old.
Wait, he hit a 70-year-old?
Yeah.
Who the fuck?
I think like that contrast between him and Hegseth as a violent alcoholic rapist is funny because Conor McGregor really looks and sounds the part. But like, Chris, could you cue up the clip of Hegseth on the Easter Sunday Easter Bunny event at the White House? Because like there's something about his voice and mannerisms. Yeah, there we go.
This is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
Okay, a couple things about this.
He keeps breaking the fourth wall. He keeps looking directly into the camera.
Terrence, he's doing the Jonathan Demme look at the camera move. Is like that. That's his sort of stock move because he's coming from being on TV, and he's like, when you really want people to think that you're telling the truth, look directly at them into the camera, which doesn't create any kind of weird dissonance.
But also, you have to look away and off screen to have people realize that you are in an environment with people who may like you. You know what I mean? Listening to you.
Just a couple things about that clip is that, like, Felix, as you already pointed out, he's talking about the, all the disgruntled employees and the fake old news in the media, and he's flanked by his, like, a sort of cadre of wait and see children with bussin' haircuts. Just like, that kid from Come and See with the 1,000-yard stare, except he's got the broccoli haircut.
A bunch of little Oliver Twist motherfuckers.
Yeah. More whiskey, sir.
I love what he says too, where he's like, this is typically what they try to do. They try to ruin someone's reputation. Well, not going to work with me. I already did it.
I mean,
yeah, I didn't wash my hands for 2 years once.
I've ruined my body. You don't think I'm going to ruin my reputation?
Is it too much to bring up the fact that this guy's own mother called him a violent abuser of women in an email to him?
Yeah. Like, I mean, this is a thing that we've seen with like every Republican since about 2017, where all these guys who just haven't had Donald Trump's extremely unique like life circumstances and biographical details try to do the Trump thing. Like they try to pick up like his weird verbiage and turns of phrase. And Pete is trying to do, the fake news thing that caught on so well, which was, it was a misdirect of a Democratic accusation, if people remember that. But he fucks up and says it's old news. And it's like the implication being like, yeah, I mean, everyone knows I'm like a maniac and I can't run an office and I've broken like several federal laws, but like that was from weeks ago.
Well, I mean, what he's referencing is news items about how he was in a second Signal chat, not with Jeffrey Goldberg, but with his wife and attorney, in which he was sharing classified information about U.S. military operations, which I have to say I support.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I do love that he's in a group chat with his wife and lawyer, because it does show a shocking amount of self-knowledge. He is, because he's like, well, like, look, just go. I don't want to do it, but judging by my track record, I'm probably going to do something bad to this one. You should be here.
And the last thing I want to point out about the Easter egg roll clip with Pete Hegseth, and other people have pointed this out, but like I said, he's doing the Jonathan Demme looking directly at the camera technique, which is an interesting means of communication. But he keeps turning his head from side to side. And when you see on one side of his head and then the other side of the head, it is very clear that he has shaved one sideburn and not the other, which means that you were leaving Las Vegas drunk when you woke up that morning.
He got like a half fade on the fucking sideburn.
Yeah, like one of his sideburns comes down to about to his earlobe, and the other is right at the top, like right when it cuts off.
He should got one of them busting haircuts like a kid. Lined up real good.
Like I clock that too, and it's hilarious. But I fear now, like the same thing that happens with like every Pete Hegseth like aesthetic choice, where it looks ridiculous and we make fun of it, and then like some like 52-year-old is like, shows what little you know. That's what everyone in the 73rd 73rd Investigative Division does to memorialize a guy who got his sideburn blown off by an IED. And everyone who is in this unit does it, and it's an army thing.
It just attacked his facial hair, bro. Not even his actual skin.
Yeah.
Like tons of angry in your car Oakley wearers are now going to start shaving half their face to be like, I stand with the Secretary of Defense. Reporting for duty, sir, as he mixes up a gin and tonic. Like,
you know how people will be like renovating a house and they'll like tear down some drywall and like 8,000 bottles of like Fireball will like come spilling out. Like, they're gonna be doing that in the White House in like, I don't know, 6 months, because he's not going to last that long.
Look, like I have to make this clear here. Like, I stand with Pete Hegseth in that, like, there is nobody else I would rather be Secretary of Defense at this point in American history than a guy who has, like, you know, a guy who starts the day and keeps well lubricated throughout the day. But like, does anyone remember during his confirmation process when he said, "If I get the nominee, if I'm confirmed, I'll quit drinking because the job is too serious"? Like, did anyone remember that? And is anyone following up on this? And look, again, I have to be 100% clear. He should keep drinking.
Absolutely, dude.
I don't think there's anyone that Trump could pick where it's like, oh, they're doing a great job. The last like competent psycho that Trump had in defense was James Mattis, and that it didn't go well because he was too woke.
He was a DEI hire.
Yeah, out of anyone, but like this is like who do I want as a longtime supporter of Yemen? Who do I want in charge? But a guy who is liable to accidentally text the Domino's pizza tracker the munitions and sortie details of, with the Air Force's next 20 sorties over Yemen.
I mean, I also think too, just being an alcoholic is conducive to being Secretary of Defense. Like, I just think that, like, at that point, it's like, well, we already live in this crazy, like, war rabid nation. What better guy to pick than someone like Pete Hegseth?
Well, it's funny, like the old school guys like James Angleton and shit, right? Like those guys were all huge boozers, but like this is a different.
They could hold it together.
They
they knew, like Terrence, like guys like James Jesus Angleton. And like the entire cadre of like cold warriors that did like unspeakable crimes and were like juiced to the gills 24/7, like as Felix, you describe it, like drinking a pint of scotch and then giving your friends piggyback rides around Foggy Bottom. They were all some weird shit. But they knew, like the older generation knew how to be drunks. Like they could, Hegseth was doing shit like blacking out at a strip club and getting up on the stage. He's doing
come on, bro.
He's doing live news interviews that, as Felix, you said, that sound like Facebook posts about people stealing their headphones. Like James Jesus Angleton was not like every time someone betrayed him, he would probably just poison them to death or something. He wasn't just like, all of my betrayers will one day face justice, but I'm having a great time here at the Easter egg roll.
because it's the difference between like every generation before Gen X and like, I guess Hegseth is like a millennial or cusper, but like with the older guys who are drunks, and I think you're the one who said this, that the entire national security state used to be run by teetotaler Irishmen and alcoholic Mormons.
Yeah. Yeah.
The alcoholics, they understood that there was something shameful about it, and they were deeply ashamed, and they knew it for a fact that they were fucking drunks. And so they would just try as hard they would try as hard as they could to just do their job to the same degree of competence and like hide their drunkenness. Whereas with somewhat like a younger person like Hegseth, it's like they know it's shameful, but they have this endless ability to deny that it's happening.
Yeah.
So they're like, so it's like every day he's probably like, I'm not an alcoholic. I'll show you by drinking normally. And of course he just ends up blacked out. Yeah.
Felix, do you guys remember I forget when it was conducted, but there was like a clip of him that came out like during the confirmation hearing where he was just like, it's this idea that like he doesn't think being a drunk is disgraceful. Like his liver is the size of a football, and he thinks it's cool. He thinks it's cool to be in your 40s or 50s and like living the frat guy lifestyle, because in the video clip he says, "What do you call it when beer doesn't work anymore?" And I'm like, that's called being an alcoholic.
When it doesn't work. Who thinks of... You have to be a fucking psychotic drunk to think of alcohol like that. Like, it's not, do you enjoy beer? It's like, does this fulfill the function of what it's supposed to, which is to make me think I'm a good person? No.
And just like another element of just the way Hegseth talked, and I mentioned this online the other day, and it got a lot of response. But it's the phrase he uses to describe soldiers, where he calls them war fighters. And he's just like, every day people are lying. Disgruntled ex-employers are lying about me, but I'm putting the Pentagon back in charge. But I'm putting war fighters back in charge. Just the last point I want to make about Pete Hegseth is that like, okay, because like there's all the news coming out this week is about how like his entire like staff at the Department of Defense like has been fired. Like it's just like a circular firing squad of people accusing each other and of leaks and being fired by Pete Hegseth. And I was like looking at a news item on Twitter about that, and every single reply was people being like, "Damn right, they're getting fired, weeding out all the deep state snakes." And it's like losing. One of them said, "Losing control of the Pentagon." No, Pete's gaining control by firing all of these bureaucrats, and it's just like, it needs to be said here. Every single person he fired was someone he hired when he got the job.
Nah, bro. He forgot that he even hired her, bro.
That's how wily all the anti-Trump deep state is that they like seeded these people in Pete Hegseth's life years before he got the Secretary of Defense nomination. But again, like this is the alcoholic mentality. You can't bargain with them. You just have to let them keep drinking, or they're going to make it your problem.
Will, it's so similar to Trump 1 stuff, where all these guys were like, great news, Trump has fired Susie Peppermint, the deep state's bitch. And you would look up like, who the fuck is Susie Peppermint? And it's like, Susie Peppermint was a Ted Cruz volunteer, and Donald Trump hired her like on the day of the inauguration and put her in charge of like everything in the Pacific Ocean, basically.
Right.
And then eventually fired her like for some just indecipherable reason, and she worked for him for 2 years. And it's like, how hard is it to sabotage this guy if he keeps hiring all these people, like John Bolton?
Yeah. Their patriots are in control, and then they're fired. And we're getting some better patriots in here, some better, more loyal patriots.
This is the mentality, I guess, of draining the swamp, right? Is that the swamp is
draining
always
the bottle
full. Yeah, draining the bottle.
I mean, it is funny to have a guy who's that like visibly an alcoholic in charge of the Pentagon. Like, and Trump said this week of Pete Hegseth, he's like, you don't think he's doing a good job? Ask the Houthis how good a job he's doing. And it's just like, dude, like it's been a disaster. we're losing $30 million drones every day. Like,
we're getting washed, yo.
Yeah.
I saw an op-ed in one of those, like, you know, like the National Post, one of those like Anglo-American Canadian weekly magazines for psychos who wear those aircraft carrier hats, Tom Clancy readers. And it was like, I don't think it's a good idea for us to expend all the remaining munitions that we haven't sent to Israel on just hitting sandbanks in the Gulf of Aden and not accomplishing any military goals. Like the only stuff like that Trump posts about the war is when we do something like fucking horrific. We blow up like
bomb the oil depot,
a wedding or something, and it's like, take that. Just this past week, Ansarullah was able to get I think a true hypersonic into Haifa's airspace for the first time. So you tell me how fucking effective it is. These horrific crimes they're committing.
This is where I disagree with Chairman Xi. It's like we're just going to sit back and watch America's decline. It's like, no, actually, like in historical terms, like your opponent is so obviously incapable of the job, right? Like Mexico, Canada, China, you could all launch an invasion. No one's stopping you, man. The guy at the top is a lush.
That reminds me of another great genre of like conservative delusion posts where it's like, imagine what it would be like if they invaded us and they saw 20 pissed off rednecks.
Oh my God.
These are motherfuckers who valorize like Red Dawn shit, bro.
Dog, we have the worst health outcomes in the country. I guarantee we can't mount an army. Everybody's got black lung.
And also, I guarantee you China has their own version of rednecks.
Absolutely.
They're Peng's Eye.
Y'all remember after October 7th, there was this thing called Global Day of Jihad, and all of them were like, they went to ground. They were like in their bunkers for like a week. Like my family was
terrified, yo.
Yeah, they were like, watch out. Keep your head on a swivel. It's Global Day of Jihad.
Oh my God. I remember that. That was a tough time. I had like close family members texting me and being like, bad news. One of the stupidest people we know thinks this is happening.
Like, I'm glad you brought up Peng's Eye, though, as like a contrast between American and Chinese hillbillies. Because, like, you know, as a perfect contrast with Pete Hegseth, look at what Peng's Eye has done with alcoholism versus what Pete Hegseth has done with Peng's Eye is being an alcoholic on a whole nother. He's invented a whole new way to drink beer that you have to have a degree in physics to master. Hegseth is crying in front of the Easter Bunny and like not shaving his sideburns.
He's like in the alcoholic state of quantum superposition, bro.
Yeah, Peng's Eye is like he's thrust vectoring the beer. He has like a gimbaled shot technique. He does all this cool shit, and he drinks the equivalent of like 20 regular beers, and then he's like, it's time to cook a fantastic lamb stew for my wife and my family who I love. And he's so nice seeming, and then compared to Pete, who's like, all right, 7th beer of this morning, I don't like the way that my wife has been looking at me.
And I was
Where's
thinking
my
of like
gun?
The Chinese equivalent of Pete Hegseth is like getting on Red Note or whatever and being like, the farmers at Sorghum Collective number 5 are all betrayers. I hate them. But this year's rice harvest will be even better than last year.
Oh my